This is the bandwagon fallacy. I was like waiting for you to start. I'm like, wait, that's my responsibility. What am I doing? Okay.
I could read some if you want.
No, no.
I'm not
I
as good as
like
you.
I like reading it because it that way you can be in comprehension while I'm reading. Okay, the bandwagon fallacy number 23. Also argument from common sense, argument ad populum.
A common sense and like that's not a thing. It's literally by definition just like assumptions. But anyways, done with arguing about that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The fallacy, so the bandwagon fallacy is the fallacy of arguing that because, quote, everyone, quote, the people, or quote, the majority, or someone in power who has widespread backing supposedly thinks or does something, it must therefore be true and right. Example, quote, whether there actually is large-scale voter fraud in America or not, and then people are now thinking there is, and that makes it so. Sometimes also includes lying with statistics. Example, quote, over 75% of Americans believe that the crooked Bob Hodiak is a thief and a liar and a pervert. There may not be any evidence, but for anyone with half a brain that conclusively proves that crooked Bob should go to jail, lock him up, lock him up. This is sometimes combined with the quote argument ad baculum. Example, like it or not, it's time to choose sides. Are you going to get on board the bandwagon with everyone else or get crushed under the wheels as it goes by? Or in the 2017 words of the former White House spokesperson, Sean Spicer, quote, they should either get with the program or they can go. A contemporary digital form of the bandwagon fallacy is the information cascade, quote, in which people echo the opinions of others, usually online, even when their own opinions or exposure to information contradicts that opinion. When information cascades form a pattern, this pattern can begin to overpower later opinions by making it seem as if a consensus already exists. Thanks to teaching tolerance for this definition. Okay, cool. So it's an alternative source. See also wisdom of the crowd, the big lie technique. For the opposite of this fallacy, see the romantic rebel fallacy. Oh, that's cool. Lots of stuff in here.
You got
Lots of
three
stuff in here.
fallacies in this fallacy.
Yeah. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, bandwagon fallacy. I feel like that was I feel like that was used a lot in Cutco, now that I think about it, from
Hmm.
what I remember.
I think combination of
Yeah.
bandwagon and the what was the last one we just read? Availability bias.
Yeah. It's interesting. So the one for me that um the one for me of the three that seems the most like I don't know. Well, here I'll change my position. The two to me that feel super like power based, like trying to establish power, establish dominance, bandwagon and lying with statistics. It's like it's kind of the thing today that if you want to find any statistic on literally anything, you can literally Google it and you can get that statistic and you can back
Because
up almost
yeah,
any point.
because I'm sure someone lied about it somewhere. There's
Well,
8 billion people that can just
right,
type whatever statistic they want to.
right, right, right. And so it's like, that to me, I find that super interesting. I think that's used against a lot of people. And it's like, it's interesting how like the tactic is, let me use what, let me take advantage of your fear of being outcast because it's as social creatures all of us have on some way shape or form we all harbor some fear of being abandoned, cut out, removed because in the basis of our um, evolution we survive when we are in tribe, and if you're outside of the tribe you get eaten by a lion. That's the way that we basically evolved. And so it's like to use that against someone is already pretty awful. But the thing that for me is like, it feels like it's a huge force in and of its own that's difficult to it's almost intimidating when I think about it, is the information cascade. It's like, when you have a video that goes viral as an example, and you have an abundance of opinions that seem to go in the same direction, it it can be overwhelming. And how I think about this is I made a video that went viral a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, got 500,000 views. And it was amazing how the video was very polarizing. That if the people who watched it were the comments in the comment section, the comments put down by males were very consistently something to the effect of, this guy's not saying anything. He's talking a lot but not saying anything, was what the male audience seemed to be saying. And the female audience seemed to be saying, yes, more of this, we agree with this. And so it was like very clear boundaries between the two. And of course there were parts of the female audience that were like, he's not saying anything, and there were males that were saying, we love this. But it was like there were these two, again, kind of like this was saying, cascades of information. And I remember at the time, I was like, it was very impactful to my psyche. I was like, oh my God, am I like being rejected by all men in society? Not a single like man thinks I'm worth anything, that I need to go jump off a cliff. And then, and then women think I'm great, but men think I'm the worst. And I remember just having that whole thing again. It was a year and a half, 2 years ago now. And of course that's not true. It's just like when you see an abundance of data and the data starts to uh, go in a particular direction, your mind starts to say, oh, this means something. And the amount of meaning that can be derived from that can be overwhelming. So yeah, that one, I get that one. I get that one.
Have you ever different subject but same fallacy? Um, has any Christian ever told you that their religion must be true because it's the biggest religion?
I think I've heard that at some point, maybe.
I've heard that a lot. It's bandwagon. Just like just because you're the biggest doesn't mean you're true. And also,
Isn't Islam the
funny
biggest one?
enough, what's that?
Isn't Islam the biggest one?
Well, I was about to get into that. It depends if you consider Catholics Christian. If you don't, then Islam is the biggest one. But if you do, then just by a little bit, Christians are still number one. But that might not happen much longer. Christianity is shrinking and Islam is growing, and it's not gonna stay that way.
Who knows? We'll find out.